In the last video I did the initial setup of my first aquascaping project. Then on my bonsai channel, OTR Bonsai, I added a ficus bonsai to the top of the slate and finished with it looking like this. Now let's see what's going on with it and see if it needs any work or if anything can be improved. The first thing I noticed was that there is already some extra non-plant life in the tank after a few days. This bladder snail must have been hitchhiking on the plants. Now some people may view this as a pest in their aquarium, but I was actually quite happy to discover it, as I want snails in the tank to help with any algae. There is also these copepods, which remind me of sea monkeys. At this point the tank has been set up for a week. I've experienced some dieback or melt from the plants, so I've removed the dead and have also trimmed the foreground plants, which I had a comment on the last video suggesting that they may be Monte Carlo. As you can see, I've mounded some of the soil up at the front of the tank. This is what I raked from around the plants, as I didn't realise I'd disturbed the substrate quite a bit when I moved the slate slightly. I'm now going to rectify this by putting the slopes back in from the back right corner to the front left. I'll start by lowering the water level. Now I'm just going to get in there with a shrimp net, as it's what I have to hand, and start scooping out the excess soil in the front left corner. But first I'm going to remove the plant to make it easier. With a good amount of the soil now removed from that corner, I can get in there and push the soil around to create the look that I was hoping for when I initially set up the tank last week. I'll also remove the other two foreground plants, as I'll be replanting them at a lower depth in the tank once the soil is how I want. With the soil now looking better, I can replace the plants. Now that's taken care of, I can fill up the tank and move on to the next step. I think that's improved the overall look of the tank, and hopefully over time it will get even better. While carrying out the work on the tank yesterday, I noticed some hair algae starting, so I took a trip to my local Maidenhead Aquatics and have purchased something to help me out with that. And I'll start by adding the bag to the tank so I can begin acclimating them. After almost an hour, they should be fully acclimatized, so now I can add them to the tank. The eagle-eyed among you may have been able to see what the new tank residents are already, but for the rest of you, I've added 3 Nearite snails, which I think have a great pattern to their shells. Let me know your thoughts on this tank in the comments. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.